I met my current wife in my first year of university. She was my classmate and became the reason for my further studies at this institution. We quickly found a common language. For some time, she kept me in the friend zone. But on the day of acquaintance with the student staff, I gathered my strength and declared my feelings. She, to my joy, reciprocated. We started dating. It was a wonderful time. Walks in the rain and hugs at recess, one synopsis for each of us. We didn't go to the next level for a long time because Janet was terrified of her mother. I assumed she was exaggerating, but it was okay. After a year of dating, we met Janet and a few classmates at the farmhouse. All the men headed for the river, but Janet hesitated, and we ended up alone. This amazing experience will stay with me for the rest of my conscious life and hopefully for the rest of my unconscious life. A few months later, Janet tearfully handed me a test. No, it wasn't a math test. It was a pregnancy test showing 2 positive bars. I knew my parents would help us, I thought. But she only said one thing. Mom will kill me first, then you, and no one will be able to save us. Of course, as a future father, it was unpleasant for me to hear such a thing. How could a mother abuse her child like that? However, the real shock came later. When I brought Janet to meet my parents, everything was fine until we informed them that we were having a baby and planning to get married. My mother started yelling at us, saying that we were still kids, that we needed to finish our education, and that this girl was not right for me. As a result, the people I trusted the most did not help me during a difficult time in my life. We had no choice but to drive to Janet's mother's house. All the way there, Janet was shaking, crying and clutching my hand tightly. We rang the doorbell. The door was opened to us by a tall, statuesque woman in a military uniform. I just didn't have time to change after work, she said, gesturing for us to come in. Mom, I'd like you to meet me. This is my boyfriend, Walter. Did you want to get a pet? So you did. Parried my mother-in-law and laughed out loud. We were drinking tea in a tense atmosphere, and everyone was silent until mother-in-law broke the silence. Well, spill it. The future mother-in-law turned to us in an organized manner. Janet began to sob, and I became numb with horror. Stop crying, mother-in-law said. I want a healthy grandchild. Janet calmed down for a second, and then she bulged her eyes. And you think I can't see anything? Remarked her mother-in-law, shifting her gaze to me. What's going on with your parents? They're going to help. I lowered my eyes and fell silent. I can see. Sarah continued. It's okay. We'll be fine on our own. I raised Janet alone, and now there are 3 of us. We'll live together. Janet, you will have a baby. You are my son-in-law. You will study and work, and we will live together. We are not strangers to each other. Janet began to cry again. I could see that she really wanted to hug her mother, but her mother-in-law just patted her on the shoulder. I got a job at the print shop as a delivery boy. I didn't have much contact with my parents. The first time was just very hard. Even though it was a day off, we woke up on an alarm clock. We also followed a schedule. You wouldn't believe it. For socks scattered around the room, I did 30 push-ups, and for dirty dishes in the sink, I ran a few kilometers down the street. Because of her heavy pregnancy, Janet couldn't do much around the house. So, it's been 10 years since then. We had a gorgeous baby boy who we named after my mother-in-law's father. We have been living apart from my mother-in-law for 3 years and are now on our own. We are preparing to become parents for the second time. We decided to renovate the apartment, so my wife and child moved in with my mother-in-law for a while. I'm not ready to go back there willingly. I have been working late at work. By the way, I am now the head of the department, which I am very happy about. The workers finished putting up the wallpaper, which needed to be approved. My mother-in-law agreed to come over and take a look. I was worried about the guys, because if she found problems, she would personally roll them under the wallpaper. However, Everything went well, and my mother-in-law was waiting for me in our apartment. It was getting late, so we decided to stay the night. I threw the mattresses in the bedroom and nursery on the floor, looked for plaids, and handed my mother-in-law a pillow. We went to our rooms and went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I felt someone next to me. When I opened my eyes, I saw my mother-in-law lying next to me. To say that I was surprised is to say nothing. She wrapped her arms around me tightly and pulled me hard against her. "If you tell anyone," she hissed in my ear, "I'll kill you. Have a good night." I felt a sudden burst of strength and rolled my mother-in-law over onto her back. Using her military experience to command, mother-in-law just did whatever she wanted to me, not just on that fateful night. The next day, when the builders left, she put on a short robe and in an orderly voice told me to go to the bedroom. My mother-in-law had been single for a long time, and her feminine needs made themselves felt. I was shocked at first, but then I started to like it all, because my wife and I had never had such a thing. We still play like that, not very often, of course. But my mother-in-law keeps me on my toes. If I do something wrong, she immediately recalls her position at work, where she has more than one soldier under her command. Sometimes I feel sorry for these guys,